In the final days of apartheid, violence escalated throughout South Africa. Thousands died, but one death made headlines around the world. Amy Biehl, a young American student, was killed in a black township by a mob chanting anti-white slogans. After spending 3 years in jail, her convicted killers were among the first to apply for amnesty from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
You're listening to AM Live on SAFM 104 to 107.
The high-profile amnesty hearing into the 1993 murder of American Fulbright exchange student Amy Biehl begins in Cape Town today. 4 convicted young men want amnesty for stoning, stabbing and beating Biehl to death almost 4 years ago.
The hearings can be heard live on Radio 2000 between 11 o'clock this morning and 1 o'clock lunchtime, and then again between 2 and 4.
The car stopped and the driver, Amy Biehl, stumbled out of the car and started running towards the Caltex petrol station. We chased after her and I tripped her and she fell down. I asked one of the persons in the crowd for a knife. I got the knife and moved towards Amy Biehl as she was sitting down in front of the box facing us.
I was in the middle of a meeting. It was during the noon hour, and my secretary came to the door and motioned to me, and I came out, and she said, "You have a family emergency phone call."
I took the knife and stabbed her once in front on her left-hand side. I heard the evidence that this blow was fatal. I accept that it must have been the wound which I inflicted.
I just couldn't believe it, really. And the only thing that was left to me to do at that point was to sit on the airplane and write her a letter, which I did. And it was the only way I could communicate with her at that point. And I told her that we were very proud of the fact that she would put herself in harm's way for others. I told her how proud I was just to listen to her when she would call from South Africa on Sunday mornings. And in the end, I told her I thought she'd done a great job with her life, and that her mother and I and her family would try to do something not up to her standards, but would try to honor her with some sort of action. That was it.
To be honest, I didn't care much because she's a white lady. She's white, she's white. How many blacks have been died? At first, because I didn't know that my cousin was also involved there. But even if he was, I would feel the same. She's a white woman. Then what the hell must I care about her?
I stabbed Amy Biehl because I saw her as a target, a settler. I was highly politically motivated by the events of that day and by the climate prevailing in the township. Political tensions were further heightened after white policemen and some white passers-by had shot at us along Vanguard Drive.
People were fighting for liberation and all those things. So in the days of our lives then, it used to be politics, daily meetings, rallies, all those things.
The problem was one, on that time, everyone can do anything to anyone because of the situation. That is why we are saying now, we cannot believe it, but we believe it. Because there were many people, even myself, I can do that thing on that time.
I deeply regret what I did. I apologize sincerely to Amy Biehl's parents, family, and friends, and I ask their forgiveness.
Phambanezele into mna. Bengingumntu othanda isport. Siyafunda u-6 eGugulethu Comprehensive. Ufike ngaqala zona ngisafunda kwa u-A. Yeah. Ngoxa ngiphuma esikolweni, nika ndiyazi ukuthi ngo-5 nika ndihambe ngibheke ejimini. La viki ne kusenzeka lento ukhona umfundi owasweleka eNyanga Junction ogama linguShopri yabo phambi kwami yabo nginamanye ama-Afrika yabo ethukilwa libhulu ngendawo uba sitoyitoya sicula ingoma somzabalazo sigudu.
Yoba sibulala umuntu njena kubonisa ukuthi ngumsindo esinawo nendlela esiphila ngayo apha. Kuba ubabe siphila ngendlela eright abantu bengenangxaki ngesingambulelanga la MP.
How did you possibly think that the killing of a single, unarmed, white young woman would bring about your objective?
Mamel.
The
government would get very angry during the times of apartheid if only one white person is killed. Therefore, by killing Amy Biehl, that was going to make us proud and force the government to attend to the demands of the black people.
You had no mercy in your heart that day.
Aye.
No.
After the conviction, the mother of the sort of ringleader said, you know, she felt sorry for me, and there was remorse. And that was the first statement of that kind, you know, of remorse.
You see, now it's going for Christmas time, eh? Right? Each and every house is sitting with his family around the table enjoying themselves. Okay, she's going to sit at the table. But when she's sitting and eating and saying that, there's somebody shot here. So
she did it through a friend of ours who's in the press. She allowed her to film sort of a message to us.
You passed away without any sickness. You haven't been even to the doctor, just like that. Without no reason. It's too much.
I have always thought it would be good to give this woman some support.
Nearly 4 years after their daughter was stabbed and beaten to death in a South African township, the parents of Amy Biehl met the mother of one of her killers and told her they would not oppose his application to be freed from jail. Peter and Linda Biehl's arrival at the tiny concrete blockhouse in the black township of Gugulethu was a moment packed with emotion.
Don't cry.
Yeah,
Don't cry.
we're...
Have you been surprised how Amy's parents have reacted?
Wow. I don't want to comment. I couldn't believe it when this lady phoned, say they're coming on Saturday to meet us, the family. And I asked my aunt, "Are you mad? You're gonna meet the Biehls?" She said, "No, they say they're coming. We must meet them."
It started kind of funny, actually, because we were taken to the house next door.
Yeah, they
We
took us
knocked
to the
on the
wrong house.
door,
These
and
ladies
these ladies
come
came out. They smiling and
They
greeted
embraced us, and they were
It
the
was
wrong
like-
ladies.
And the guy kept saying, Evelyn,
Yeah,
Evelyn.
Alvin kept asking for
Where's Evelyn?
Oh,
next door. So by the time we got next door, we were half hysterical.
Actually, that was
That was maybe
probably
a
good
blessing,
thing.
you know?
That was funny.
You have no concept until something happens what your attitude is going to be. Now, if I lost a child in an automobile accident, if I lost a child to cancer, I don't know how I'd react. I have no idea how I would react. In this particular case, because of what Amy was doing, how she talked about it, this is how we're reacting.
We wanted to honor the quality of Amy's life, and the best way for us to do that, we felt, was to go and to demonstrate our solidarity with the people of South Africa in their struggle.
Because Amy was killed in South Africa, because our lives have now become forever linked to South Africa, we are here to share a little of Amy with you. Amy was a bright, active child. She loved competitive sports, such as swimming, diving, gymnastics, among others. Upon high school graduation, she went on to Stanford University. Her love of Nelson Mandela as a symbol of what was happening in South Africa grew.
Ibuhlungu lenhliziyo yanga indlela wayicacisa ngayo. Ndive enkundleni amatyala. Mna beningamazi uba ungubani waphi. Xa mna ndimjonge nje ndabona uba yimna ngumcinezeli iyafana nabanye abacinezeli. Ngabe kuphelele ekhaya. Kaloku mna ndabetha umntu endandingamcingelanga uba ayinguye lo wafanele ukuthi ndimbethe, ndibethe umntu orong.
Just 2 months before she died, Amy wrote in a letter to the Cape Times editor, "Racism in South Africa has been a painful experience for blacks and whites, and reconciliation may be equally painful. However, the most important vehicle toward reconciliation is open and honest dialogue."
Yandothusa mina into yokuba abazali baka-Biehl bayivume uxolo lethu ne. Why into yoba mayindothuse? Because thina la believe ukuthi nophi na umzali yabo uba nenimba ngumntanakhe and ushiywa ngumntana yabo ubumthanda yabo ibuhlungu laa nto yabo sisilonda esingapheliyo yabo. Two, ngondizibuza umbuzo oyi-one. Okay, andikayazi nangoku isandothusa mna lana yabo.
Amy would have embraced your truth and reconciliation process. We are present this morning to honor it and to offer our sincere friendship. We are all here, in a sense, to consider a committed human life, which was taken without opportunity for dialogue. When this process is concluded, we must link arms and move forward together.
Our amnesty process has been quite unique in the world. We have conditional amnesty. We would not have had all these revelations if we had just gone for a blanket amnesty. And families would still have been deprived of the knowledge.
This process is not about pillorying anybody. It's not about prosecuting anybody. It's ultimately about getting the truth so that we can help to heal and also so that we may know what to avoid in the future.
One can quote the German example over and over again, where there was no truth commission, 20, 30, X amount of years down the line, people are still saying, I need some resolution to this, and I haven't had it.